Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So I've got another Top 5 Tuesdays for you. This is a collaboration I do with the Glam Dr. Mona Khan, who is a very good friend of mine and also a fellow YouTuber. I will link to her channel and her video for this week down below in my description box. Definitely check her out. And this week we are talking about warm eyeshadow palettes. So we've done neutral, we've done cool, and then we had to skip a week or two. I can't remember. We had to skip a week or two, and we are back now with warm palettes. So if you're interested in hearing what my top 5 all-time favorite warm eyeshadow palettes are, then just keep on watching. All right, we're gonna go in no particular order. I'm gonna start with the smallest one because it's sitting on top. This is the Tom Ford Honeymoon Quad. And I just love this quad. I love this particular formula that he uses in this quad and also in the new dip, which I talked about in my favorite cool eyeshadow palettes. It's this like really interesting kind of, I think it's like a baked gelée. It's just really cool. It's not very powdery, but it's not very creamy either. It just really like is so soft and it's so like super reflective and super pigmented. So those are the 4 colors in this quad. The quad works really well all together. And then if you just want like a one swipe shadow, this is really nice. Or if you want something a little bit more dramatic, this one's really nice. They're just beautiful. So there are the 4 shades in the Honeymoon Quad. It's just a really rich looking color story. I just really, really love this one. All right, next up I have a palette that I was like, is this neutral? Is this cool? And I think I just landed on the fact that it's actually warm. I held it up to all these other palettes that I have. This is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Soft Glam Palette. And of course, when I think of ABH and warm palettes, I think of Modern Renaissance. But this one is very warm also. Like this tone, all of these tones down here are very warm. This one maybe could be considered cool. This one at the end, maybe this one, but this one still has a very warm undertone. Maybe this one is cool. But anyway, I definitely consider this one warm leaning, and this is my favorite ABH palette out of the Modern Renaissance, Norvina, Subculture, Prism. This one is my favorite. My all-time favorite is the Mario collab, but that one's limited edition. Didn't want to mention any limited edition or palettes that you couldn't get anymore. But this one is just such a great, everyday, lovely palette. Let me go ahead and just swatch a few of these. I'll do some mattes and some shimmers here. And they're just really creamy, really buttery feeling shadows. They perform really nicely. They blend really nicely. There's like very little fallout for me, even though they're kind of powdery in the palette. I don't find that I have a lot of fallout so long as I work kind of like slowly to build them up. They're just really great. They just perform really, really nicely. I find this color story to be really versatile. I think it goes from day to night really, really easily. And I hope this comment doesn't sound just completely stupid, but I just think it's really pretty. It's just such a pretty palette. I think the colors are very pretty. They're soft, but there's enough impact, obviously, so you can see them on the eyes. It's just really lovely. So anyway, I love this Soft Glam palette. And then my last 3 picks I think are very, very predictable, but the next one is the Sublime palette from Pat McGrath. This is the one with the green shade in it. But look at these beautiful, rich, warm tones in there. You can definitely wear these 6 shades for like, you know, a very wearable kind of like daytime office appropriate look. And then these for going out. These are just absolutely gorgeous. Let me go ahead and swatch some of these colors. I'll do 2 from the safe side and 2 from the fun side. Look at that pigmentation. Look at that green. Oh my gosh. Just amazing. This palette is really, really beautiful. Look at these colors. They're really just so beautiful. Pat McGrath shadows just are the absolute best. And I like this palette too because I think because of like this color and these 2 colors here, this is really kind of like medium skin tone friendly. I feel like I can kind of pull it off so long as I'm pretty generous with this color all over and kind of blend it in to lighten up some of the other colors. Or if I'm just going for a dramatic look, it's great. But I think this is a great kind of like everyday color story for someone with like a medium to darker skin tone. So again, this is another one of those palettes I find to be like incredibly versatile. And these shades over here are just stunning, absolutely stunning. And then of course, the next palette I have to mention is the Pat McGrath Bronze Ambition palette, which is this 6-pan palette. it's so stunning. Let me go ahead again and swatch some colors here. So here are the 4 colors. There is only one matte shade in here. There's one that kind of leans matte that has glitters in it. That's this one, but it still has a little bit of a satin sheen to it. But the rest are these like super high shine, almost like foiled type of shadows. So beautiful. Perfect for the fall season. Look at that. Oh my God. Look at that shade. The pigmentation really is just out of this world. They're so beautiful. They're just so impactful. So this palette is supposed to be a great companion palette to the Sublime larger mothership palette. Let me see if I can hold up both next to one another. So this is supposed to be a great companion palette to the mothership palette. And I think that is correct. Look at how beautiful those are. It just sort of extends out the gold and the bronze colors. So if you're like a warm tone lover, these 2 Pat McGrath palettes for sure. You need to have those in your collection. And last but not least is the Natasha Denona Sunset palette. So this palette just came back in stock. And there's been some confusion, I think, regarding the formula. So I've had this for a while, so I had it from the original release. But she just restocked this palette, and I think on Instagram, she was commenting how the formula is new, or just a little bit tweaked. But then she commented that it wasn't, that it's the same formula. So I don't know. I don't know what the situation is with the new palette, but I can tell you that the colors are beautiful, and I can tell you that the original formula is really, really great. So let me do a couple of swatches here. So here are 4 just random shades from the palette. So this palette is great. I mean, it just has every single kind of like warm tone shadow I think that you would ever want. I love all the mattes that you have in here. So you can get like a very kind of like neutral, obviously like warm leaning, but like a neutral look to your eyes if you just stick with the mattes. Her mattes in this palette, again, the original palette, very creamy, very pigmented. They blend beautifully. The more kind of shimmery shades like this one and this one here, they are, chunky isn't the right word. There's a lot of fallout. So definitely like, you know, you want to pat it on with a finger, or you want to use some kind of like sticky primer. That definitely helps a lot, but they're really, really beautiful. I remember when I first got this palette too, I was a little bit worried that the colors were all just a little bit too deep, too bright, too rich. And I thought, gosh, like there's no way to get kind of like just an everyday kind of like work appropriate look. But I think I was watching Trish from A Glittery Life, who is a makeup artist for Natasha Denona, and she said you don't need transition shades for Natasha Denona shadows. They just sort of transition themselves. And I thought, let me try that. So I remember going in, I think it was with this shade here. I remember going in, I put that kind of like all over my lid, and I just started to blend it upwards, and it really did. It kind of transitioned itself. It really just sort of faded out, but evenly. It didn't look patchy. It didn't like look muddy in any way. It really did just a very, very good job of just sort of like blending itself out. It was really kind of magical. It was really lovely. So anyway, I do love her shadows, and I do really, really love this palette. So that is it for my top 5 warm eyeshadow palettes. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please let me know what some of your favorite warm eyeshadow palettes are down below in the comment section. I would love to hear from you. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe before you leave, and I'll see you in my next video.